What is up? Will here with Renthusiast, my YouTube channel about Porsche ownership, and in today's video I'm going to take you through what Porsche owners have told me they really don't like about Porsche ownership. What I did to poll people about this topic was I put a comment up on my Renthusiast brand page on Facebook, which you should go follow, by the way, if you'd like some additional Porsche content. I share a lot of other people's content on that page, so go to Facebook if you're on it, search for Renthusiast, it'll come up, click follow. I put a question up on that page and pushed it out to the world of Facebook. I said, hey, what do you as a Porsche owner really dislike about owning these cars? And I was freaking blown away, if I'm honest with you. There are 462 comments of people telling me what they dislike about Porsche ownership. And so it gave me an idea for a video. I thought, hey, why don't I share these on camera and get feedback from the audience about whether or not they agree, disagree. I'd like to ask you to react, to respond, to add value to this video in the comments below. If this is your first time to this channel, please subscribe if you are interested in getting Porsche ownership insight and just entertain yourself with content about these cars when you're trying to kill some time on YouTube. Now, what I did is I went through all 462 comments. It was quite time consuming, and I started to kind of group them into different categories. I thought it might make sense to give this video some structure. And all right, the 7 categories I landed on are the financial cost, which is pretty obvious whether you're an owner, non-owner, soon-to-be owner, new owner, old owner. You'll agree that this hobby is not a cheap one. The second category I came up with is psychological cost. I have a lot of passion about this one. I know that for me, that's been an unforeseen factor, is just how much of a drag it can put on you mentally. The next category that I came up with was what I'll call regret. Fourth is quality. I have a video that I'm working on. It's about the quality of Porsche, and as you may know, like each generation seems to have a problem, yet there is still such passion about the brand. And so I'm gonna do a video about that topic in and of itself. Next category is culture. That's an interesting one, the Porsche culture and what people really dislike about it. 6 is what I came up with is opinion of others, like the impact of opinion of others on someone's enjoyment of their Porsche ownership, which I don't know, that was an interesting one. And then finally, there's this miscellaneous category. I couldn't really put these comments into a specific category. All right, the first one is a financial cost. This is not a big surprise. Michael H said cost. Chris P, the prices have gotten so out of control that it makes trying to buy another one more difficult. I would say that has definitely been the case. I mean, Porsche it's a luxury item, and just like all other luxury items during the pandemic, just shot up in cost and price and in value. I do think that there's a correction going on. I'm trying to figure out how to do a video on that. I'm not really a statistician, but I think there's a correction that we're seeing, which for you, Chris, it may come back down to at least a little bit of reality. I don't think it's ever gonna get where it was before, but I do think that this out of control market price stuff is winding down a little bit. Jonathan S said, cost of parts and repairs considering my 80 SC shares the DNA of Volkswagen Bug. Look, bud, you gotta pay the Porsche tax. I mean, everybody's kind of trying to get into your wallet there. The next category, psychological cost of ownership. I have owned like 13 Porsches, I think, and something that has really surprised me about owning them has been, like, sure, it's not been cheap to buy them, it's not been cheap to keep them up. I'm rather OCD in getting any car that I buy up to standard as soon as I buy it. Some of that's self-inflicted. But one thing I didn't see coming was this psychological cost of ownership. And so what that means is, like, you buy your new toy, you're stoked up to use it, and then not only do you have to put a lot of money into it, but it ends up on a lift for 6 weeks. And so you can't really enjoy the car. I don't think I've been alone in this experience. I've gotten notes from people on my website and via email that their experience has been the same. And so for sure, that sucks. Randy L says one thing he doesn't like is finding people to fix them. I would say this is especially true in the world of air-cooled Porsches. Totally different category of knowledge than new Porsches, and you know, we're seeing that people who are really qualified to work on these cars, the older cars, they are, like, you know, retiring, and as a result, like, we as owners struggle to find really good qualified mechanics. Nicholas L, the time the Porsche garage needs to complete their work on the old time cars, that includes the time to get certain parts. Last time it took a few months to get it back. You know, I touched on that just a moment ago. I don't know if that's been your experience, but I know that's true for me. And you know, in one of my mechanics' garages in particular, I'll go in. Sometimes I just like to go in and see what's being worked on, but a lot of times he will have air-cooled car that somebody just bought they brought it to him to have it gone through, and next thing you know, they're dealing with a motor rebuild. So there it is. Like, that cost sucks, but also, man, I gotta believe it's just super bitter that the car has to sit for months and months. The next one, Tony T, this is for those of you chasing like the newer Porsches. Tony T talks about Porsche main dealerships. It's just not possible to buy a desirable car with money alone. What he's talking about here is like if you're looking for what's called a halo car, you can't just walk in and say, hey, I've got the money to buy this car, so sell it to me. They hold these really special cars back for loyal customers. I have a video coming very soon. I happen to know somebody in the dealer network of Porsche, and he was willing to sit down with me anonymously and tell me like how dealerships think about allocations and why you can't get one, and how to kind of get around it and perhaps score yourself one. And so that's maybe for Tony T and some of you guys out there who are trying to get allocations, maybe that video will be good for you. But yeah, just having deep pockets isn't enough to get those really special cars. It's a drag. Mike M, worrying I'm gonna cause a big repair issue. Mike, dude, I can definitely relate. I've been on rallies with 50 other air-cooled cars and we're all ripping back roads, and you know, I will have had my car gone through before I go to these weekend-long events. But there's always this kind of like doubt in the back of your mind that you might be that guy who's broken down on the side of the road, because you know, I've been to a lot of these events, like there's always people that are suffering breakdowns, and it's definitely a drag. It's kind of part of the adventure in a way, but it also is not something you really want to experience, and so that worry does kind of stay in the back of your mind. Next category, regret of selling / not using it enough. Mike P says, my bad left knee is preventing me from driving it. So like he regrets that he can't use it enough. He does say, good news, I got a new knee and I'll be back to shifting in 2 or 3 months. I hope no longer. I've seen this with guys that are getting along in years, and I can say this because like, yeah, I'm middle-aged, but you know, I'm older than I was before. Especially with the air-cooled cars, they do require a high level of involvement and effort, and I've seen people that are really getting along in years, they're just not able to use their cars as much as they used to, and you know, it's a bummer for them. Phil G says, I had a 1975 911S, loved everything about it, regretted selling it. I have heard that story over and over and over and over. In fact, I've sold a couple in my life where I do regret selling them, but that's not really gonna accomplish anything, so you gotta move on. Daryl J, the fact that I can't afford a second one. I hear you, Daryl. When I first got into the hobby, I was in a different position financially and I could only afford one. I would go to events and I would just lust after the different generations of air-cooled. That's where I really started, was in the world of air-cooled. I've since diversified my interests, but early on, I just really wanted a 3.2 Carrera and I couldn't afford it, and so it was a bummer. Paul W, I can't seem to stop putting miles on mine. Yeah, I've been there. I had the same experience with a 911. It was a 991.2 that I had, so I feel you. Next category, quality. Nick M says, the multitude of errors and plain poor engineering that shouldn't be present in a car costing this much. I feel you. I have a brand new 2024 Carrera T, and when I have the windows down, there's wind buffeting. You have to fiddle around with like the sunroof being open and the windows being, you know, put in a correct position to get rid of most of it. But I mean, come on, Porsche, like, are you serious? Robert A, 2 words, oil leaks. With the air-cooled stuff, I mean, it's old, they're old cars, and you know, it's just, I think it comes with the territory, but it's a little irritating. Loyal D says, well, I chose badly, 4-owner, and it was beat, barely a drive went by that something didn't break. Spent more on repairs than what it cost. If he's talking about an older car, like these are older cars, and I will say that once they're sorted, particularly the 3.2 Carreras, like they're bulletproof. A lot of times the car you get, and he touched on this, well, I chose badly, 4-owner and it was beat. You just can't speak to like how the car was treated by each owner. So you try to do your due diligence. And I'll be doing a video on this, by the way, the emotional roller coaster of buying your Porsche remotely. You try to do as much due diligence as you can, but sometimes you just get something that requires a lot of money. And you know, when you do that, it's really about the love of the game and the passion of the brand. But I feel you, like a lot goes wrong with these cars. This dude right here, he didn't mince words. Lloyd T, Overrated, overpriced, over-engineered junk. Endless money pits made for rich people. This dude right here is pretty bitter. I have found these types of comments are definitely reflective of that person and what's going on with them. And so maybe Lloyd's pissed he can't get one. Maybe he bought a bad one. I don't know. I'm not gonna ask him. The next category is really interesting to me. It's culture slash people. I did a video called the 7 types of Porsche enthusiasts you don't want to be. I'll put a card up to that video. I am fascinated by culture. My background is psychology and culture building in companies. And I really have found a lot of fascination in observing how people behave in this community. So this category is interesting to me. Culture people. Mark B said the pronunciation Porsche. I think that speaks to the culture of, some people are just casual enthusiasts, they love to drive their cars, and there are other people, I'll call them the Q-tip crowd, that might be pretty particular and judgmental. This dude right here, Mark B, is one of those guys. Bard B says most of the people that own them, ... just saying. I don't know, I've met some pretty cool people in this world. I've rolled with a lot of fun people. I mean, I have met a lot of too, so I will agree and disagree with you. Nicholas M, the spectator collectors or poser collectors who don't actually care about the cars or have any interest in them other than a status symbol or investment. I do know of a lot of those types that are about scoring a GT3 RS, keeping them in their garage, telling their buddies how special the car is and therefore how special they are, and they might take them to Cars and Coffee. I don't know that I hate those people, but it seems like Nicholas M does. Mike S says all these 914-4 owners who think they have a Porsche. Yeah, I don't know, I get a lot of comments on my videos saying that I'm ignoring 914 owners. I just don't have any experience with them. Harry K, the snobbery. The worst is the folks who get all stuffy when people abbreviate the pronunciation, of the word. So Harry K needs to have a battle royale with Mark B because Mark thinks you need to pronounce it correctly. Oh my God. Okay, so these 2 comments, so stupid, so lame, so predictable. It was funny the first time I heard it, but not the millionth time I heard it. What's the difference between a cactus and a Porsche? The pricks are on the inside. Lame. Next category, opinions of others. I have a lot of passion around giving power to people in the sense of like caring too much about what they think. Candidly, that's a lot of the reason I started my YouTube channel, was to put myself out there because I was in the trap of taking things personally and worrying about what other people think of me, trying to control their perceptions of me. Anyway, there's a lot there. So I found this category a little bit interesting in that these folks here allow what other people think to influence their enjoyment of their ownership. So Ernest S says, being stereotyped as a Porsche owner, I never mention what kind of car I drive except to refer to it as the little black car. I have it because it brings me joy, not to impress anyone. I mean, that's cool, but by the same token, you're also saying that perception of other people impacts your enjoyment of the car. It's something that you say you hate about ownership. Jeffrey says the opinions of non-owners and their ignorance. Pete says nothing. Why would I care about what other people think or say? Just enjoy the drive. Pete, you're my man. Now we get into the miscellaneous. If you're on Facebook and you're in some of these Porsche groups, you're gonna see that guys sometimes put pictures of naked models inside of their cars. They're taking pictures of those and sharing them. I think in today's society, you're just not gonna get away with that. And so I'll qualify these couple of these comments with that opinion I have. Ken says, the beautiful women just won't leave me alone. No comment. Peter L, okay, this is a movie quote, I guess. I've never seen the movie, but I'll read it to you. Porsche, it's a little too small to get laid in, but you get laid just as soon as you get out. I hope I don't get penalized by YouTube on that. They can monitor content, so I don't know if I can say get laid or not, but we'll see what happens. Glenn, everyone assuming that I'm an orthodontist. I love that. That's, kind of tongue-in-cheek and funny. Scott says not being able to shop at Trader Joe's because of the other shoppers' ability to understand geometry and parallel lines. Oh my God. I feel you, man. I park my cars far away only because I don't want door dings. I just don't want it. And also, if you're like me, I like walking away from it and having this unimpeded view of the car because that's part of what I enjoy, is just appreciating the design. But I hear you, man, because what happens is you park far away and a lot of times you're gonna see somebody who just it's like a magnet. The car's a magnet. Somebody has to park right next to the car, even if there are tons of spaces nearby. I guess maybe they're just trying to antagonize us. Ryan L, I felt like this was a wonderful period at the end of the sentence of all these comments. Ryan says, I wish I had a problem like that. Walking everywhere This is getting old really fast. Ryan, if you live somewhere nearby me, reach out to me and I'll be happy to come scoop you up and give you a ride in one of these cars. Anyway, that is like what I came up with out of the 462 comments I got. I generally try to keep it positive, as I said to you, so this was a little bit of a left turn from the usual, but hopefully you guys find it entertaining. If this is your first time here, again, please subscribe. That way you're gonna be notified every time I publish a new Porsche video. Appreciate you sticking around. I'm out of here. I hope to see you next time.